Hello everybody, today we'll be showing you what to do with your plugs when you receive them. First, you know that you have ordered plugs, so try to be prepared in advance because it's not time to go shopping when the plants are knocking at the door. So what you will need is, of course, soil and pots. Now, this size of pot, a 4-inch pot, you will not need for sure. So don't get those right now, or it doesn't matter if you get them, you may end up using them, but for now, this is a no-no. The big pots like this, no. You will need, I'm showing you actually these are little glasses. They're not even made for gardening. So you can use anything. If you find some garden pots that are cute and you like them, go ahead. Try to find the 2-inch ones. The way to measure a pot is you just measure from side to side and it'll give you an idea. This is about a 2-inch pot. This is about 3 inches wide. So this you could be using, and I'll show you why, but probably not. So you want to find smaller things like these little types of things. This is about 1.5 inches or 2 inches. Yeah, 1.75 inches, just something small. The reason we don't want to put the babies into a big pot like this is it's way too much soil going on and it's just going to get lost in it, and I'll show you why in a minute. So you can buy gardening equipment or pots or you can use little cups. The only thing that's very important is that you need to have a hole in the bottom. Making a hole in a plastic cup is super easy. Take a potato knife and make a slit, and there you have your hole. Same thing here for this one. Now, the type of soil you will want to get, if you're just beginning, you're going to want to find a soil that is peat moss based. You can go to any gardening center or big box stores. Go to the where they sell the soil, and you can find bags of like Miracle Grow, and other companies make it also. Just find one that is made for African violets, or if you look at the ingredients, it has peat moss in it. You don't want to have any dirt, black dirt like for gardening outdoors. It really has to be peat moss, otherwise it will be too thick and heavy for the violets. And you will need something to mark the names of the plants with, like a Sharpie, or you might want to put some sticks in the little pots with the names on it. It doesn't matter, but just make sure you put the names on the pots of which plants are in, because you'll regret it later on if you don't. Now, once you have all your material, you can start sitting at the door and just waiting for the box to arrive. And here we go. This is how the plants are shipped. You'll receive a priority mail box, and it's all insulated with styrofoam. And if you order plugs, this is what it's going to look like inside. So all the little plants are wrapped up in the little styrofoam. Now I wanted to show you different samples of what you can get, because you can get many sizes, many different sizes of them. This one is very small, this one is very big, very long, and some are medium. This is the most common size. Now, if I open them up, I will show you. I can remove that. And there you go. That's what we're left with. So once opened up like this, that's what they look like. This is the most common size you will be receiving. This is a very common size. See? Most of the standards will be sent this size, and some of the semi-miniatures. This is not the regular size that goes out. This is a very long plant and large actually, but I wanted to show it because I do have some like this. These are the first to go because they're super big, and this is a large variety to start with, so the baby kind of grows up quickly. And this is very common if you are playing with the minis and semi-miniatures. This is a type of plant you can get. These can come also in this size, but the standard varieties don't usually come into the tiny size. This is tiny, but as I mentioned in my other videos, small semi-miniatures and miniature plants are small to begin with, so the babies are smaller. The babies of these are smaller than the babies of these. It's just a fact of life, because these sometimes they're small like this and they're full grown. So you have to, know what you're ordering and don't be surprised. So for a recap, this is the standard size. They can be smaller or a bit larger, but this is a good average right here. Gives you an idea. So what do we do now? Now, remember I told you that the 4-inch pot is a no-go? Well, imagine putting this little plant in this big pot. That does not make any sense at all. So we're not going to do that. And this guy could make more sense, right? However, look at the tiny root ball and the big pot. So we don't want to do that. If you do this, you can do anything you want, actually. But if you do this, your plants are going to have a much harder time. The reason is there's so much soil inside, it's going to stay wet too long. The plants are just going to suffer. There's way too much area inside. We have to let them go gradually up. They may end up in here, but they should not start in here. These little 2-inch pots, let's say they're 2-inch across. These are perfect for almost anything. This little guy can start in here, see? And this big girl can go in there too, not a problem. This is the perfect size for this also. They all fit in here. And what happens is there's not a lot of space inside, so it's going to root out quickly, and then it will start to grow. The way African violets grow is they start to produce the roots, and once the roots hit the sides of the pots, that is when the plant starts to grow the top portion. So again, if we go into a large pot like this, it's going to take forever for the roots to reach the sides of the pot, and it has many chances to die in between of overwatering. Even if you're not overwatering, there's so much soil in there that it makes it a big quantity of water for this tiny little plant. So that's a no-no. If you have something this size and you can't find anything smaller, this will do too. This is the number one. This is better. This and this is better, but this is also okay. Now let's go back to the small one. If we put the small one inside, it's still quite big for this one. This is a miniature plant, and it will actually spend its whole life in this little 2-inch pot. We can grow it in this bigger one, the 3-inch, but it won't bloom as much, and we will have a harder time. It won't be as happy, it won't be as vigorous, because again, look at the space between the plant and the side of the pot. There's so much space to go for the roots. And if I show you on this one, hey, if it goes in the middle, there's like not even half an inch on each side for the roots to reach the side of the pot, and then for the plant to grow. This one will never be big, but if you want more blooms, you keep it in a smaller pot. It can even be in a smaller pot than this sometimes, but those are harder to find, so I'm showing something that's accessible. So now we know this is a no-no. This is okay. This is the number one choice to use, even for the big one. So now I'm going to show you how to plant them up. See, it's very easy. We need the soil. I'm going to start with a small one. Just take off the little elastic and just unwrap. You can pull it out like this. You remove, this needs to be removed. Some people will leave it in. I suggest to remove it. And you are left with a little ball of soil. Now, I prefer not to disturb this. So it's what you do at this point is you just put the soil. This is the barely damp. Put the soil in the little pot. Look at the root ball. Make a hole about the size of the root ball and just put it inside. And just gently tap the soil around. There's no heavy tapping of the soil because we don't want to compact the soil ever. The little roots of the African violets are very tender. They're like little very fine hairs, and they're tender. So if you tap the soil very too much, the little roots will have a hard time going through the soil and reaching the side of the pot and then giving flowers. So that's it for the small one. Make sure you have a hole in the bottom, and you want to write the name of the plant on the pot. All of the names are always, this is just a sample, so there's no names, but the names of the plants are always indicated on the bags. And I will do the big one also to show you. Same thing, remove the little elastic band. We take the plant out, unwrap the roots. And we have the little root ball. Whoops. So I told you that this could go in this one, and that's best, but I'm going to show you in the bigger one in case you have bigger ones. This can do also, no, actually I'm going to show you in the smaller one because this is what I wish for you to do. It won't stay, if it goes in the smaller one, it won't stay very long inside because this is a big plant. It's going to root up quickly, but it will go faster. It will have flowers faster, and everything will go faster in a smaller pot. So I look at the size of my root ball, and I make a hole. Now some people like to open these up because the roots are all crammed together. I don't, and it works very well. I plant a lot of plugs each year and there's no problem. So just make the whole approximate size of the plug, and or you can also, I'll show you another way. Sorry, I should have done this another way. You put a little bit of soil in your pot on the side, and then we put the plant inside, and then you fill it up on one side and then toss it over, do the other side, and there you go. Don't forget to put the name on the pot. Now, the depth of where you want to plant it is very important. Some people like to plant them really deep. That's a no-no. Look in the center of the plant and find the baby leaves. That's the center. And from the side, you don't ever want to plant higher than where those leaves begin, because it's like drowning the plant. So, and also some people, let me show you. Some people, I've seen many people do weird things, but for them it seems okay. Let me show you something. Okay, some people will plant them like this, so it looks fine, but if you, in reality, the baby leaves are there. So the baby leaves begin here, and there's like a centimeter here that it's not planted inside the soil. The soil line is, it's hard to see. The soil line is here, and the start of the plant is here. I want the soil to go up there. So this is like way too high. I don't know if you understand. If I remove a leaf, maybe you'll see better. There you go. See, there's a little neck there. Well, we should get that in the soil. So we're going to put it a little bit deeper. Now, deeper means up to where the leaves, the center begins. Deeper doesn't mean up here. Up here is too high. You're going to bury the center. Well, let's do this again. And I'm going to add some soil this side and a little bit more on that side. I'm gently pushing it in. You see the soil line is up to where the baby leaves begin. This is the appropriate way to plant a new plant. Let me show you on the other one. See the beginning? It looks a little bit high, but if I squash it down like this, you can see that the center, it's where the center leaves begin. Am I getting this in the camera? Where the center leaves begin in the bottom, that's where I put my soil line. Okay, When you're done planting, you want to put the plants in a good sunshine. It will be either the window that receives the morning sun and the early afternoon, but not the window with that has the very hot sun that will burn your plants. That's too hot. So you want the morning window. Or if you have lights, you want to put them on the lights. Lights should be open about 10 to 12 hours a day. For the watering, you just want to keep them moist, not wet and not dry. But these are, although the plugs are small baby plants, they are like adults. They're not mature yet, but they do have everything, so they're not as fragile as leaves or things like that, because they already have a good root system, and they also have energy stored up, so they can take a little bit of hard times. So to water them, you just make sure you keep them moist. You can start fertilizing right away because they do have roots to intake the fertilizer. To fertilize, don't ever go full dosage of what they say on the bottle. You want to separate it either 1/4 strength or down to 1/8 of the strength. So you divide what they say into 4 or 8. I give the a quarter, 1/4 strength of fertilizer, and I fertilize every time. The way to do this very easy when you're at home is to prepare. You take a soda bottle or a gallon of milk or something, clean it out, and then make a diluted mixture of your fertilizer, and then use that every time you water. So you don't have to mix the fertilizer every time. It's already made. Stick it in the bottom of a a little corner that you don't use, or in the closet. And when it's time to water, it's already made. So this way you won't forget to fertilize, and you won't have to go through the hassle of mixing it every time. And okay, so now we're all planted up. We know how to water them. We water them only when they need it. We don't ever water an African violet when it's already wet, because that's too much. It hurts it. You will know when it's time to transfer the plant, because at some point it will way outgrow the pot, and like this thing will grow quite fast because it is very large, and they will start to want to fall down, and you're going to lift it up and it's going to be really root bound. There's going to be lots of roots in here. That's the time to take this guy and throw it into this pot. Now if you're a super lazy person, from here, when it's really full of roots, you can skip a step and go into here. You can do that. If you don't want to repot often, that's no problem. But normally we would go from the 2-incher to the something like this, and then fill that out, and then go to something like this. By going through the 3 steps, 1, 2, and 3, the plants will bloom more. Then going from the step 1 to the step 3, because from step 1 to step 3 it will take time for the roots to reach the sides and start making a big root ball, so it will take more time for it to bloom. Now this little guy, well, this particular will stay in the little pot forever, but I know what it is, so I know it's not going to get big. A general rule for the pot size, if you don't know what size the plants are supposed to be, a general rule is to pot the plant in a pot that is 1/3 of the foliage. So you measure from there to there and divide it by 3, and that would be the size of the pot that is needed. So a 10-inch plant would be potted like in a 3 or 4-inch pot. A 12-incher would go into a 4-inch, and if we would grow them out to like 15 inches, well, we could separate 15 by 3 is 5, so a 5-inch pot. It gives you an idea. So for those who don't know, just use the divide by 3 rule, and that's a good size for the pot. The rule is pretty good for all the varieties. There's a few exceptions, but we don't talk about those because there are very few exceptions. So I think I've covered everything. We have the soil, the pot. The question that is asked very often is how soon will they flower? plugs have the tendency to bloom very, very quickly after they are planted in soil. The reason for this is because they were raised in this little pot right here, a 1 by 1 inch little cell. And what happens is they're used to being very, very tight inside, and they also have their brothers and sisters beside, so they don't have much space under the soil, and they don't have much space on top of the soil. So when we do give them space in the pot and for the top growth to grow, they kind of go crazy. It's like for the first time they're free and they can live, and they're away from home at college for the first time. They go crazy. So they do tend to bloom up pretty quickly. Of course, if your conditions are really bad and you grow them in the closet in the dark, that's not going to happen. But with normal, regular conditions, with the conditions that the plants will be happy in, they will bloom up quite quickly. They grow. The big portion of the growth has already been done from leaf to baby. The big thing they had to go through, it's already done. Now they just need to have fun and party. So I hope I've covered everything. I hope this helps. If you have further questions, just add them in the comments below, and I will address those questions. Good luck. I really hope you enjoy your new plants. Have fun. I forgot to mention, once they're planted up, they don't need any special treatment. They can go directly in the windows or under the lights. They don't need to be wrapped up or under domes or anything. They don't need higher humidity like leaves would. Treat them like you would the mature plants, and they should be very happy. So good luck and have fun. Bye.